Hey guys, what's up? It's Blake again,
And Jackson.
and today is Thursday, August 18th, 2022. And
Woo!
yeah, summer is not exactly winding down. I mean, it's still summer. It's still going to be hot here for quite a while, but school is about to start again. Well, school started for primary schools like last week
Hmm.
around here, like the week before that. But college, at least for me again, starts next week. So
Same for me. Kill me now.
yeah, yeah. No, I'm taking five classes total, but like most of them are only like 1 hour courses.
Hmm.
So it's only like 11 hours of total credit. But yeah, it'll be the most classes I've taken since pre-COVID.
I am taking two classes, invasive species and this biological seminar class.
The
And
invasive species one sounds interesting.
it does sound interesting. I'm excited for that one. It's with Erickson. Um, she teaches ecology and a bunch of other stuff, marine biology, all that jazz.
Hmm.
Um, and I'm working on my thesis this semester. Maybe I can get that most of the way done. Here's hoping. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and then I'll be TAing two classes. So I'll be TAing the Bio 110, which will be a trip. It'll be a trip, all right. And then the other one is actually the ecology lab. So no botany this semester, I guess.
Tragic.
I know, big
What a
sad.
loss.
Loss for them, haha. Um, so yeah, fun times.
Well, what have you been up to in your world the past week?
Uh, not a whole lot, I guess. Work. Um, haven't gone anywhere. Haven't done a whole. I saw that movie Bullet Train. I thought it was pretty darn funny.
Really, I didn't
Um,
see anything for that.
it's kind of like the brutal humor of like Deadpool, that sort of stuff.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah, it was fun. Brad Pitt was lead role. Um,
Nice.
uh, I I can't remember the name of like any of the other actors who were in it. But it had like the chick who was Domino in Deadpool 2, the girl from the
Hmm.
kissing booth. I can't remember her name. But I was forced to watch that movie. By the way, there's a gun held to my head. Um, and I mean, I liked it. I thought it was fun. It was a fun comedic movie. Oh, it had the guy who was oh gosh, I can't remember his name. He was in Eternals. He was the guy who was Hephaestus. I think it was Hephaestus was his
Did
name.
not see that movie.
Oh well, not a big loss.
Yeah, from what I heard, it didn't sound like I missed too much.
It was like almost 3 hours, and most of it was rather boring. So
Speaking of 3 hours, I've been watching Apocalypse Now for the past couple days. Uh, I still have like 45 minutes left in the movie, and I'm like over 2.5 hours in. This is like the Redux or whatever that's on Netflix. It came out in 2001. The original came out in '78, but yeah, it's a really freaking long movie. It's have you heard about Apocalypse Now? It's like a retelling of the Heart of Darkness.
I've heard of it, and I've heard of Heart of Darkness, but I haven't seen it.
Yeah, so these people going up like a pontoon boat in Vietnam into Cambodia during the Vietnam War, and it's really freaking crazy. A lot of that same like all the Vietnam vets were sort of loony type of stuff that's reminiscent of the things they carried, kind of like what the
Mm-hmm.
author talked about in that book. Like people just do crazy, stupid stuff in like the middle of like a firefight,
Yeah,
and they come across these like French plantation owners too, and they're just like, yeah, we're not leaving. We've been here for 70 years. This is our land now, and it's like it's really kind of not. It's still the Vietnamese people's land that you took, but whatever.
yeah. I remember reading the things they carried in going after Cacciato. Uh, Fun times. That was like all he did. What was his name? Do you remember that dude's name?
Which one?
The guy who wrote things they carried and going after Cacciato.
Oh, he wrote both of those books.
Yeah, it was the same guy. he wrote a bunch of books about the Vietnam War. It was like that's all he
Yeah.
did was just write a bunch of books on the Vietnam War.
Yeah.
Anyway, but yeah, it was the same guy.
Yeah. It's crazy because Martin Sheen is in this movie, and if you didn't know like the time that this movie was filmed, you would honestly mistake him for Charlie Sheen. I just think it's cool that Martin Sheen was in a Vietnam movie, and then his son Charlie Sheen was in Platoon, which is another great Vietnam movie.
Yeah.
Mm. Yeah, it's pretty neat. Oh, we got a new kitten. Well, we didn't really
Nice.
get one. My parents went to Arkansas and Oklahoma about 6 or 7 days ago, and they found a kitten in the middle of the road. And so I took it to the vet earlier this week. I have to take it to the vet again tomorrow to get its feline leukemia shot or test, and then get its booster shots. Turns out he was like riddled with parasites, but I mean that's to be expected when you find a cat in the middle of nowhere that kind of feral. But it's about 4 or 5 weeks old, really young still. We've been keeping him separate from the other cats, in case he is sick. But it's a Siamese mix. It's a really, really pretty creamy colored coat. I want to name him either Bechamel or something Vietnamese, because he's a Siamese. But
Okay.
oh yeah, like Con Mayo. Con Mayo is their word for cat. I think we call him Connie for short.
That's like when you look up like the Latin name for something and it's like the local indigenous word for like fish or frog or something like that. I always think that's really funny.
Yipper.
Yeah, because like Tiktaalik is definitely not a Latin word, or Nanook, which means polar bear. So anyway,
I already told you about the Browler bears, right? Or the Broiler bears.
You discussed
Growler bears,
yeah.
Yeah. I still think that's crazy, the freaking hybridization, but
Yeah.
I don't know, nature is wild.
Nature is wild. Can confirm.
And speaking of nature, our first story here has to do with the tragic decimation of a lot of nature at the hands of a careless stoner who was trying to kill a spider. So,
Can you imagine?
Utah man allegedly started wildfire by trying to kill a spider with a lighter. What?
Move over, Florida man. It's Utah man.
He started a fire that burned more than 60 acres. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, can you, what was he using? I mean, did he take, an
lighter.
aerosol? Well, I mean, did he take, an aerosol can and a lighter and was, flame-throwing at the spider? And that's what
I've done that to spiders before, but, I wouldn't do that in the Southwest where everything is dry and arid. That's just a recipe for disaster.
Yeah, I wonder if that's what he did. He was, a little makeshift flamethrower and was... set a bush on fire or something.
Yeah. But yeah, they found him with some weed and some paraphernalia and stuff like that. Because I guess, I don't know how they're able to track these things down to figure out who specifically it was.
Right.
But yeah, it was some 26-year-old dude, Corey Allen Martin, and is being investigated for reckless burning, which I guess is a different charge than arson. I guess it's a different type of fire crime.
Yeah, I don't know. I have no idea. I don't know anything about arson or fire crimes.
Yeah. Oh, he told... Okay, so it says, while speaking to investigators, he told law enforcement he was using a lighter to burn a spider. A big mistake. Should not have confessed that.
Okay, but, you have to wonder, how? How does one... Unless it was, dangling from something? Hanging off a leaf or something? How would he try to use... It must have been hanging off something.
It could have been just down on the ground, in the dried grass.
Way. Because as soon as you turn it, the flame's gonna go on your hand.
There's ways to hold lighters down.
Oh, I guess I didn't think about
yourself.
what kind of lighter it is. It could be one of those the long ones.
That or
case,
or a Zippo even, or even a Bic lighter. If you press it down into your palm and strike the striker with your middle finger, you can hold it down like that. That way there's no fingers above the flame.
At any rate, dumb. Very dumb.
Very dumb. Yeah, 60 freaking acres burned down, which is
Bambi.
not a small size. But yeah, apparently the place was experiencing a drought, so it makes sense that things would be, and for that matter, sounds like this place would probably have a burn ban in effect as well. So
Right.
already he was doing something foolish.
Yeah, absolutely. I think I remember reading something that was like the incidence of fires in the in like Western United States has gone up by like over 300% as a result of climate change.
Yeah, it sucks because like some like really nice forests have gotten burned too. Like part of the redwood forest, for
Yeah.
example. Very tragic.
I would say if the US is number 1 in anything, it is having the best like national parks.
Yeah, there's so many different types here. We've got deserts, we got mountains, we got lakes, we got
Subtropics. Yeah.
all sorts of different types of forest and biomes,
Mm-hmm.
swamps,
Yeah,
grasslands.
absolutely. Yeah, we really do have like a very wide range of environments here. It's kind of interesting, for like one country to just have so many different biomes in it.
Well, it's because our one country takes up like a third of the continent. So yeah,
Okay,
there's gonna be a
I
lot
mean,
of
in
stuff here.
fairness, it's kind of like it's in the middle though. It's not just that it's large. I mean, Canada's very long too, but it's the fact that we're more equatorial than Canada is, right? Because Canada's predominantly like these alpine and boreal forests because it's
Right,
so
right.
far north. Whereas you're right, it is in part because it's large, but also we're down more towards the equator, so we get this larger diversity of
Right,
these
and that
biomes.
makes sense. And then we also have like the jet stream and like the ocean currents, making the temperatures on the coasts far different than
Yeah.
a little bit further inland.
Mm-hmm.
So like I was looking at a map of like seawater temperatures along the west coast, and like it's far colder just on the coastline than it is like I don't know, maybe 50 miles offshore for like in like the entire rest of the ocean. Like something about like our Pacific coast in general is just so much freaking colder than most of the stuff that's like further west of it. It's very crazy.
Yeah, I suppose.
Yeah, a buddy of mine is visiting his girlfriend in San Francisco sometime soon, and I told him I'm like, if y'all haven't checked it, because he's visited there before, I'm like, if y'all haven't checked them out already, y'all should check out some tide pools there because they're really pretty and you can find a
Heck
bunch of cool
yeah.
critters there. And like he was like, y'all think about it, and then like I literally like searched up a list of cool tide pools in the area and sent it to him. He's like, yeah, my girlfriend thinks it sounds cool. I'm like, how has she not done that already? Like I'd be exploring all the freaking wildlife and stuff there. Really pretty places they got up there. Like Santa Cruz, and just the whole like Bay Area in general.
Heck yeah, I'd love to live near a beach. I just like not maybe an hour from the beach. If I lived an hour from the beach, I'd be satisfied. You
Right,
know,
right. They
and
also have sea
not the
lions up
Louisiana
there.
beach,
No, no, no. We I don't think beach is the right word for what we have.
the
Um,
coast. Yeah.
yeah, it's just a coastline. But yeah, no, and they got sea lions up there. Sea lions are very entertaining to watch because they're all like trying to out alpha each other and like bicker. It's really funny.
Yeah.
But anyway, this next story you sent me a while ago, and it did not sound real at first.
Oh, yeah. So a sexually abused 19-year-old killed this pedophile priest by ramming a cross down his throat. Freaking bonkers.
It's like something out of a movie, and like it's crazy because like there's only like a handful of people that they like for sure know he molested, but all the victims like attested that it was likely dozens of people that this dude like molested, and yeah, it's crazy. This dude. Keep in mind, this pedo that was killed is 91 years old, so probably not too hard to get away with what was done to him. It says that he was bound and tortured for a while before he was finally killed. So this person really took out some like righteous vengeance on them.
Yeah, so let's I don't know if we've discussed it, but let's broach that topic for a moment.
Hmm.
The pedophilia ring, because that's what it is. It's a ring in the Catholic Church. Was exposed sort of systematically back in 2002. by a team at the Boston Globe, interestingly, which is called Spotlight. And there's a movie which dramatizes, of course, that whole story, but it's a fantastic movie. Highly recommend watching that movie if you haven't. It's really good. It's got Michael Keaton.
Was that just about the one in America? Because this story is from France.
Oh yeah, well I'll get there, but yes, when it was first uncovered, or the fact that the Catholic Church was basically a priest would molest one or a few congregants basically, and then the parents of the kid would raise a fuss, and then they would get a lawyer. The lawyer would basically settle with the church, give a little bit of money to the parent, get some money himself, and the church's lawyers would also get money. And then what would essentially happen is the church would just move the priest to a new parish.
Right.
And this happened over and over and over and over and over. Essentially, probably for well over a millennium now, this has been happening. Not exactly in that way, of course, with lawyers being involved, but in some sense, this has probably been happening for at least centuries.
Yeah, easily.
And because, as they pointed out in as stories of these kids who are now adults or whatever, point out, when you receive the favor essentially of the priest, or the father, who is basically the voice of God, and he asks you to do something, who are you to tell him no? He's the voice of God. What are you going to do? You're just some normal person. And then they feel like they have to, basically. And then nothing really happens to a lot of these priests. And
who would believe the word of a common child than that of a priest, a man of God himself? That sort of shit.
Right, exactly.
They're gonna believe the man who's in a higher position of power first.
Right, exactly. And this has the first big story happened in America, at least as far as I'm aware, in 2002, and then it just spread everywhere. Suddenly, this was kind of the floodgates, right? Every country was like, oh yeah, here are our instances of this happening. Here are our instances. Even George Pell, who was I think he was one of the top advisors to the Pope, basically. He's the head cardinal of Australia or whatever, was investigated for moving predatory priests back around 96 to 2001 or something like that. So it goes all the way up, all the way through the ranks to the head honchos.
That's really sad.
As of right now, there's no evidence implicating the current Pope, but his close advisors and at least dozens, possibly hundreds of priests of these priests have been investigated, many convicted. So yeah, this goes a long way, and it's really at the point where, it's kind of like the mafia, essentially.
It is. It's kind of like a very closed organization, but once you're in, you're in.
Can you imagine literally any organization that isn't the Catholic Church, that if it had the degree of pedophiles coming out of it, that it would still exist?
Not really, no.
Could you imagine if a university, if 6% of a university staff were pedophiles? That place would be shut down. Let's be real.
Yeah.
But instead, 6% of Catholic priests, engaged in pedophilia, and the Catholic Church is just fine. It's still chugging along.
It all goes back, in my opinion, to just overarching having too much institutional power. You see stuff like this happening when in asylums, for example, abuse of the mentally disabled, and and police forces too. The whole moving priests around once they mess up, that's a thing that they do to police officers too. They call them gypsy cops, because they they'll abuse someone's rights, or physically abuse them, profile and whatnot, and then enough people make a fuss about it, and then they'll just move them to another precinct somewhere else, and like, yeah.
Yeah, and it just happens. Like, and we're just supposed to live with it. And then there are
Yeah.
people like Matt Walsh and these other apologists for the Catholic Church who come along and say, "Oh no, this isn't a problem of pedophilia. This is a problem of gay priests. Doesn't matter that both male and female children were molested by priests. That isn't really. They don't really bother with that part of the narrative so much. It's, oh no, it's the gays. It's the problem with the gays. They're the ones causing this. Which, no, it
Yeah.
isn't. It's male and female children both being targeted. It's pedophilia broadly, not just the males.
Yeah.
And this is also happening in this is becoming more and more prevalent that we're seeing in Protestant churches too.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, I believe Baptist churches are now starting to get investigated for this same thing.
Oh man. It really does not bring a positive light on them or make them look like the good guys anymore, huh?
I mean, did they ever? I mean,
I mean, for people,
NIFB. I mean,
for people that try to, present themselves as being the most like um, generous and well-meaning and just overall morally good and superior people, like you wonder why there's so much horrible, heinous shit coming out of
well,
these areas of society.
that's the problem, though. That is it in and of itself. The problem is they hold themselves up as the standard against which everyone else has to compare, and so when they act like we are better than everyone else and we make the rules, that inherently opens itself up to violations of the rules.
Yeah.
The people who are the ones making the rules have to be accountable to the rules, or they're just going to violate them.
Yep. Pretty much, and police do that same shit too.
Yeah, absolutely.
They act like they're above their own laws.
I mean, for God's sakes, the number of laws that Trump broke in office, and now he's finally getting investigated. Like, Jesus Christ.
Mm-hmm.
What took you guys
Wild
so
stuff.
long?
Yeah, that is a good question. What did take them so long?
He functionally admitted to what is the term for it? Stopping an investigation. Basically being in the way of an investigation on live TV. He said this whole Russiagate scandal thing, I just said, we're not doing that anymore.
Yeah.
Like, he admitted on live TV. What else do you want? Do you want it from him in crayon? I mean, I don't get it. But now, finally, he's getting investigated for taking top secret documents. Like, okay, this is the straw that broke the camel's back. I mean, good lord.
Oh man.
Anyway, so this is an instance where, now in general, I know we were talking about this off stream, like, I don't have a problem with people being religious in society. That's great. Practice your own religion. Whatever makes you happy, as long as it's not hurting anyone else, have at it. Right? Libertarian in that respect. Who cares? But, like, as soon as religion gets in a position of power, or as soon as religious people try to push their values onto others, then it becomes a problem.
Yeah, that's the thing. They can't keep it to themselves because they feel a moral obligation to spread their beliefs to other people, and you see that across all sorts of different faiths.
Yeah, it basically.
I was watching this video of this man harassing people on the subway, sort of like a captive audience situation. And eventually, they're just like, "Dude, shut up! We do not want to hear this." He's like, "I'm trying to save your souls," and they're like, "Keep it to yourself."
Yeah, same thing with, like, there was a video yesterday of a woman, like, preaching at a group at an airport, was like, can you imagine having to wait for your flight and suddenly someone just gets up and starts like
Freaking 8 hour layover, and you're like, I had to get stuck in this terminal.
right, right, yeah, no, it's awful. No one wants it. Like you have to be absolutely tone deaf and have no idea of how.
Respect for other
Yeah,
people's
no
beliefs.
respect. It's not just that, but like literally no one wants to hear you. They have their own stuff going on. They do not want to listen to you. Please leave these people alone. You know.
Yeah.
Anyway, all right,
Huh.
you ready for the next story?
Yeah, so the next news is some nature. I don't know if you'll
Ooh,
be able to
neat
like
nature.
actually play the video itself, but this is off of the coast of Alabama. There's a video that shows a massive hammerhead shark chasing around some stingrays.
We can. Hold on, Blake. Hold on one sec.
Oh, that guy better get his ass. Yes.
That's a girl.
Girl, you better get your ass on the closer to the shore, you dumbass.
Are they going down there with the bait?
Oh, he's chasing. Look how big.
Yeah, it's like
Y'all,
a
look how cool
10
that
to
shit is.
12-foot like hammerhead shark chasing around a
Discovery
stingray.
Channel!
He
Oh,
shit!
It's
He got it.
It gets real close to the shore.
It
It gets
does get really
probably
Oh,
about
y'all better get
15
off the
feet away
shore.
from like the edge of the water and the sand, like right up where it could
know.
easily have knocked someone over if they hadn't noticed it.
He
Y'all
might have
have
even
this
like
on
beached
video.
himself
Good,
for a
bring it
second
in,
there.
get on video.
Possibly.
He's so
Oh my,
big.
look at how big.
I forgot hammerheads were even in the
Holy
Gulf of Mexico, to be
crap.
honest.
That's where we
Yeah.
hang out.
He's got that
Awesome.
stingray
Okay.
right in front of him. Nope, he's got it right.
Oh, the other
Stingray's coming to
stingray
land.
zipped
Look.
Yeah,
along
stingray
up
hauled
to the
out to
shore.
land. They're smart.
Okay.
That's what
Okay, well that was interesting. That was pretty cool, not gonna lie.
Yeah.
That is an absolutely massive hammerhead. The other stingray, like you can just see him zipping along to the shore.
He's like, nope.
I'm
He's
done
like,
with that.
he's like, I'd rather be on land. Yeah.
I'll take the land, thank you. Okay, that was really cool. I enjoyed that. You picked another one about nature. Worried about Louisiana spiders. What's this?
This okay. So we don't necessarily have to do this week because it may be time consuming with formatting, but I was just curious recently about what type of spiders we have here because there's a lot of types that are very dangerous, but I see a lot of spiders where I live. I live out in a more rural area, so I see spiders pretty much every day,
Mm-hmm.
and I've gotten decently good at identifying them because there are definitely some around here, like brown recluses, for example, which will, they have like necrotic venom. It'll rot away your skin.
I do know.
Yeah.
I've been bitten 3 times.
Oh my gosh, you poor thing.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know where it comes from. I don't know how I keep running into this thing.
But I stumbled across this page because I was looking up a specific type of spider that I've only seen in one place in the state, and that is in the Ouachita National Park or National Forest, and they're a type of orb weaver spider. Or they're also called crab spiders. They're called that's Gasteracantha cancriformis, and they come in all sorts of different shapes. But they're these spiders with a crab-like abdomen with a bunch of spikes and very bright, colorful colors on them. Well, I remember hiking through that forest and seeing these guys freaking everywhere. Very, very. They definitely look like something that'd be poisonous, but apparently they aren't that bad.
You mean venomous?
Poisonous. Yeah, venomous. That's right.
There's a really cool spider that occurs around my house. Here it is. He's called this. I'm sorry. What did you say yours was called?
This was called the orb weaver, the spiny orb weaver.
Oh, Gasteracantha cancriformis.
Yes.
Oh, okay. So that's the same one that occurs here. Okay. So I only see these spiders around my house, like right as we start approaching fall. That's when I see them. They build these enormous webs. But yeah, they're really cool. I really like them. They're very pretty.
Which ones is it the same ones?
Gasteracantha cancriformis.
Okay, so you've seen them around here too.
Yeah, but like only when it starts getting cooler. Like I don't see them during the summer. It's right as we start approaching fall is when I see their big webs constructed in the front yard.
Yeah, and there's a couple of other ones on here that I see very frequently. So the tetragnatha, the long-jawed orb weavers or stretch spiders. Those are they've got two really long front legs, and they make like flat, almost orb-like um, webs. And let's see, the Nephyla clavipes, the golden silk spider. Those guys are actually kind of pretty. My favorite though is the Agropia aurantia, the black and yellow guard spider. So that, or sometimes misnamed banana spiders. That they do look similar to some type of banana spiders, but they're the ones that they make these huge webs, and they get to be easily about 6 inches long. Um, Massive. I'm not sure if you see the picture, but yeah, the Argiopia aurantia. Those guys are really cool. They had them a lot at my nana's house. She lived up against a lake, and there was a lot of bugs there. So these guys were thriving.
Okay.
Yeah, and the Tigrosa Georgiola, the wolf spider. I see tons of those. I first saw one of those when I was like 7 years old at like a scout camp, and we caught one in a jar, and so we're feeding it bugs, and that was kind of cool. But
Yeah, I
yeah.
saw a big Tigrosa. Where was it? Oh, where'd he go? Well, it just says genus Tigrosa. He's huge. He's like an inch and a half long. He was absolutely enormous, ridiculously big.
Yes.
Do you ever go spider
Oh,
sniffing?
there's also this spider sniffing.
Yeah. Well, I mean that's what they. It's the term I heard it called. Especially
They'll
when
just
you put a flashlight on your nose or on your forehead, and you look out in your yard at night, and the little twinkling lights you see in your yard are spider eyes.
Oh yeah. That's actually a pretty good way to find wolf
The
spiders.
the reason is spiders have what's called a tapetum lucidum.
Epidum lucidum, yeah, same thing that's in cat's eyes and like a lot of other animals.
Yeah, lots of animals have evolved tapetum. It's a reflective layer behind your retina that reflects photons. So if a photon misses any of your like opsin proteins on the first
Yeah,
pass through your retina, they reflect off the tapetum and then can theoretically be absorbed on the second pass. So
exactly. Yeah, and that light absorption is what helps them have such good sight at nighttime. That was the tapetum lucidum that was the first thing that my first science project was on when I was like 6 years old, because I was just like, I'm like, why do cats' eyes glow? Because I noticed if I had a flashlight in the nighttime and I shined it near all my cats, their eyes would stare back at me like a demon, and like I'm just like, why is that? So I wrote a little tiny paper about it. I was very proud
nice.
of it.
Very nice. Yeah, cows, elephants, crocodiles, lots and lots of different animals have independently evolved the tapetum using like a vast array of different materials like collagen, astaxanthin, zinc, all sorts of stuff. It's really easy to just line the back of your eye with like different materials that are reflective. So it's
Yeah.
just evolved independently a crap load of times. Interestingly, though, there are some nocturnal animals that never evolved a tapetum, like tarsiers, or the Galapagos swallow-tailed gull, or owlet nightjars. They don't have a tapetum, even though they're all nocturnal. Very strange.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Very strange indeed.
Tarsiers are ugly little primates. Some people say they're cute, but they are not cute, in my opinion. They are
No,
ugly.
they really aren't. They really aren't the cutest ones out there, I have to say.
Same with the eye. I mean, good lord, what an ugly
Those
animal.
those things look like an abomination.
They do. They're just horrifying to look at.
They just look like underdeveloped in a weird way. They don't look like they fully grew into their body and like proportionally the way that they should.
And what's even crazier is there used to be a giant eye.
Oh hell no! Like how giant are we talking?
Well, like twice the size, but still.
Oh okay, yeah.
It
So
was
still pretty small.
yeah, not huge. I mean, it was called the giant eye Dobintonia robusta, but like it wasn't like man-sized or something like that. There were some giant lemurs that used to exist, which were like 4 to 5 feet tall,
Oh my god.
but we killed them off. Thanks,
Damn.
humans. Yeah, we killed off a lot of the really cool fauna of Madagascar. So
I know, it's really tragic. Humans suck.
humans do suck and blow. There you go.
Yeah.
Um,
Hello.
ready for the next one?
Yeah. So this one is really short. There's not a lot of meat on this bone, but I thought it felt the need to talk about it just a little bit. So, ISS spacewalk interrupted by suit malfunction. So there was 2 Russian cosmonauts. One of them was monitoring the other, and the other was walking on the outside of the space station to like attach a camera to some robotic arm, and the power to his suit, like the battery started fluctuating like crazy, and the other cosmonaut was like, I don't know, yes, like get inside really quickly, like because they didn't know what the hell was gonna happen. But yeah, that was
that would really suck to be out in space in like a suit that
I
doesn't
know
work.
that's exactly what I was thinking. I'm like, what would you even do if like your suit just shut down, like, or like the magnets in your boots stopped functioning for whatever reason? Like there's like a solar like a solar flare or something that sets off all your electronics. Like what do you do up there?
You just gently float away into the vacuum of nothingness, you know?
Yeah, there's a Love, Death, and Robots about a lady that's like floating away into space. She gets like saved at the very last minute. Like her like arm breaks off because there's a leak in her suit, and space is really cold, so
I
she like her hand freezes.
I remember that episode.
Yeah, it's not one of the super popular ones, but it's still interesting.
Yeah, vaguely remember that. I loved in the newest season of Love, Death, and Robots the episode with the tiny zombies. Thought that was very fun.
That one's really fun.
I actually saw the episode with the sentient yogurt before. I saw it on YouTube before I watched it on Love, Death, and Robots. I didn't realize that's what that was from.
Interesting.
Because that episode is narrated by the dude who plays the brain in Pinky and the Brain.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Yeah, I thought I recognized the voice.
But what I liked about that episode was like, if the yogurt was smart enough to make a plan for how to make like the perfect economy, were they also smart enough to know that we would screw it up? So that's sort of planned failure.
Right.
But anyway, all right. What else we got here?
This next story is a doozy. It says after their daughters were beat by a girl in sports, Utah parents triggered investigation into whether she was transgender or not.
That's a whole statement right there.
Right. So guess what? So in Utah, just earlier this year, they made it against the rules for transgender female athletes to participate in sports, and the second and third place winners of a competition, they were very vague, not to mention what sport it was or what the score might be. But the second and third place parents were basically really sore and butthurt that their kids didn't win first and second place, I guess, and they didn't think that the one that got first place looked feminine enough, and so they're sparking an investigation into whether or not they're transgender because they're salty.
That's kind of insane.
It's very insane.
If I remember correctly, I thought there was only like one student in like Utah who was known to be in like a sport and transgender, and that's why even the conservatives.
It's 2.
Is it 2? Okay, because like even the
conservatives, 2. It's 2 of them.
Were like, come on, why are you making laws about banning trans people from sports when you have literally just 2 people? What are you doing? And they were saying that about Utah.
They really don't want them to have any advantage.
And the funny thing about a lot of stories, not like this in particular, but the stories where like, a trans kid beat some like cis kid in a local sport, is typically the trans kid gets beat at the next level by like other cis kids, but that part doesn't get reported because it doesn't fit the narrative.
It's always like just like within the school, like one school itself, not like the district.
They're like, oh no, this trans girl beat our little Jenny, so men are taking over sports. It's like, okay, but this trans girl got beat in the the regionals or whatever. It doesn't matter. Who cares? We just care that our Jenny got beat. It's like, okay,
they still beat some people, and that's not
right.
okay. Yeah.
I mean, I really don't care. I maybe it's because I don't. If I got beat by I don't get it. I really just don't. Because I played tennis predominantly against guys, sometimes against girls. So if I got beat by a trans man, I don't care. I lost. That's it. That's the whole thing. Okay. What do you want? If you lose, then you just lose. What is the deal? The thing about spotters a lot, or that's not the term for it. Is it the people who basically come from colleges and watch, high school students play. Scouts. That's what it is. Not spotters. Scouts. Scouts they don't always pick just one person, just the best. Sometimes there's a group of people. They pick maybe 2 or 3 from a school. They're like, oh, we should invite this person to come tour our facility and and whatnot. It's the idea that they're just gonna look at one, and schools only give a scholarship for a sport to only the best person. It's stupid. It's just so
yeah. I don't like how competitive people get with sports. That's one of the reasons I don't like them, is because of the competition of it. People put way too much time and thought and energy into it.
Yeah. But the idea that we lost, therefore they must be trans. That's some next level transphobia.
Exactly. It's not only next level transphobia, but the mental gymnastics. They're just what? There's no way anyone could beat my little Jenny. There's no way. Wait a second. Look at that jawline. Something's not right here. I mean,
right? What the frick?
This is a next level of saltiness too.
We're gonna open up a legal investigation.
A witch hunt.
First of all, it should not be legal, period, to investigate a person for being trans. That on its face should be illegal. Not
in Utah.
That's some witch hunt stuff unto itself. And yeah, with the Supreme Court we have right now, good luck. But even still, just good God, that's just so stupid and sad.
Yeah, Utah is the whole state is a pseudo theocracy almost.
It basically
it's a little
is.
Scary.
Yeah, it basically is. It's run by the Mormons.
Yep.
Yeah. God, terrible. Anyway, okay, let's go to this story. That's all right. Okay.
Yeah.
So police accidentally committed a mass shooting. I guess this
pretty much.
I guess this was last
pretty
night.
much.
Yeah, yesterday at 9. Well, that was when this was posted, so it occurred before yesterday, so maybe night before or something like that, because you can see it's nighttime. Well, anyway, so in Denver, a dude, and you can watch this video. I'm not going to show it. It's pretty horrific.
Yeah, it's very sad.
The dude, so the police point a gun, multiple police, because they're facing him at 2 or 3 different angles.
Yeah, there's several of them there.
And they point their weapons at this one dude who has his hand raised, who is clearly not a threat. Just he's not how they're oh, he was reaching for something in his pants. He was not. His hands were raised. The police could have approached and cuffed him. There was nothing at all looked like he was threatening at all. Right? And now, if it were one police officer, even then it's okay, but this was multiple police officers. And so this dude who had his hands raised did not reach for his belt line or anything like that. Police 1 shoots him, is standing in front of him and shoots him. Then another police officer perpendicular to him also fires shots.
Yep.
So at least 2 police officers fire shots. And because there's one police officer, the dude who's perpendicular to him fires shots which go past him and hit the crowd. standing
Oh my
nearby.
God.
So 6 people ended up
Ugh.
getting shot as a result of this. At least 6. Or I guess
Why?
this was 6.
I
Okay,
will
so
never understand why our
yeah, 6
police
people.
here are so paranoid and trigger happy.
Well, this was Denver, Colorado.
Yeah.
You know, and you think Colorado's pretty chill, for the most
Yeah,
part.
one would think.
But yeah, police accidentally commit a mass shooting. And I say accidentally, but I mean, the police officer who shot the dude shot him 4 times.
Yeah, I saw that. I saw him flinch every time a freaking bullet went into him, and he was like turning away to run. And of course, they're like, "Where are you going?" Like they just want to shoot them even more.
Yeah, and then the other dude started firing. The other officer started firing, which then ripped through a crowd. So why do we have cops again? I keep forgetting.
I
Can
don't
someone
know,
explain
man.
it to me?
It's crazy. I watch police videos from other countries, and the cops just kind of like jog up to people and like manhandle them and stuff. Where it's like here, it's like no, the cops they'll just shoot you. Like
Yeah.
if you're raising a scene in public and just acting loud and crazy, and you don't listen to them, and you just act like you're mentally ill enough, they'll just come and execute you pretty much.
And it's funny because we have these shows which are essentially just cop propaganda, like Blue Bloods,
Yeah,
um, and
fucking
what's
Reno 911.
yeah, what's the one with Terry Crews?
Oh,
Is it like Brooklyn PD or something like that?
something like that. Yeah,
Yeah, that's another one. These shows that are just like apologia for cops, basically. It's
yeah,
like,
pretty much.
I've been robbed. You've been robbed. We know people who've been robbed. The cops did screw all.
Yeah, what's really funny, and like a similar vein to this is like propaganda, is all the advertisements I see for the army that are in Spanish.
Yes.
I'm just like, wow, we're literally just like stealing people from other countries that are desperate to come here and just using them as cannon fodder. Like
Well, I
they're
can't
like, yeah,
remember who it was, but somebody posted on Twitter, if we lower the price of college, people won't go into the army.
I mean that's not wrong. I mean a
No,
lot
it
of
was.
people join the
Well, the
army
funny
because
thing was, it was like a corporation that said that, or something, or like the
Hmm.
army, or something like that. It was like, oh, mask off,
yeah, they're like we need to keep it expensive so people feel the need to, you know, uh, turn to us instead.
Yeah, yeah. It's just, it's crazy. I mean, we definitely need to. And the sad thing about it is, I don't remember if we've talked about it on this show, but like the phrase "defund the police" is such an unfortunate term.
It's very
It's
poorly worded.
Is it intrinsically correct? Yes. Should we defund the police and demilitarize, and send some of that money to like social workers and mental health care and all that other stuff? Yes,
Right,
absolutely. Should we say? Should we just go around screaming defund the police? Like, no, that is not a good way to bridge the gap with the other side. I think it's a very poor phrase. Demilitarize, sure, but like we need a better phrase than defund the police, because that just sounds like get rid of the police.
I've heard people say that the left is not very good at coming up with slogans, and as of lately, that's been very true.
Yeah, no, I agree with that, especially in this case. It's a very bad phrase.
Even with Black Lives Matter, because the knee jerk thing to that is like
All lives matter.
people, but yeah, that or it's like we're not saying Black lives don't matter. It's just
Right.
why should we only focus on that? It's like because that's the point of the movement is to bring light to people that whose lives have been traditionally treated as not mattering.
Right, and it's like there's this trade-off, right, versus like nuance versus like the pithiness of a phrase. We want to have something that sounds real good, but if it's easy to say, it may not. It's not necessarily going to convey what we want it to.
True.
And I think people who a lot of people who are like down for these conflicts or whatever kind of don't realize that, like, okay, I agree in principle, but we need a better way to express this.
Yeah, exactly. Gotta have a catchy slogan.
Yeah. So anyway, cops accidentally did a mass shooting. So there you have it, folks.
Yep. This next story
I don't think
is.
any of the bystanders were killed though. So
I don't think anyone was killed, thankfully. Well,
except for the one dude who got mowed down. But other than him.
yeah. Other than that guy,
Oh, this is a fun story. I don't know. Did you get to read about it?
I did not. This is like the one thing I didn't read today, actually.
Okay, no, it's fine. So this was the first thing I read this morning.
Oh my gosh.
So okay, you know those old Pokemon games where like sometimes when you use confusion it like hits yourself and then they say, like it attacked itself in confusion.
Yeah.
This story is an instance of that, and I'll explain why. So this story is about a school school. No, what's the term for it? School board? No, not the school board. The school district. There we go. School district called Keller School District, which is in Texas. Big shock.
Yeah.
And the superintendent, was it Grace Price? I think was her name, or something like that. Well, Price was her last name. I can't remember her first name, or Jennifer Price or something like that. Anyway, so Superintendent Price. She has this list of 800 books which are, quote, challenged. Challenge just means some parent raised a fuss about it at some point in time.
Right.
So there's this list of 800 books, and the school district basically got a group of people together to debate each book on the list as to whether or not it should remain on the shelves in the school library. Now, I think the very fact that they have to have this assembly at all is kind of ridiculous and archaic, but beside the point. Anyway, so this group is like going back and forth about what books should stay and what books should go. And fun fact, I'll give you one little statistic. Of the first 100 books on the list, 97 of them are either by women, people of color, or LGBT people. 97 of the first 100 books.
Wow.
So they're going back and forth, and then Superintendent Price, who is conservative, comes along and says, actually, we're pulling all 800 effective immediately. Which includes the Anne Frank graphic novel adaptation and the Bible.
I know.
Go ahead.
They shot themselves in the foot. I didn't know there was an Anne Frank graphic novel.
Yeah. So most of the books, of course, are about like race and
LGBT people
and gender and all this stuff. It's no surprise that the books that are making kids evaluate their place within society and how to look at other people are the ones specifically targeted by conservatives. Big shock. Big freaking shock.
Shocker.
Who could have seen this coming? We're all trying to figure out who did this.
Can't have people questioning their place in society. We can't have people questioning what normal is at all.
Yeah, I think the phrase "think of the children" is code for make sure the children don't think.
Yeah, you know what? That's a pretty damn good way to put it.
Because in Florida, Governor DeSantis banned critical race theory. Right, he banned it in schools.
Oh my gosh.
Which, one, in some ways it's like okay because they're not learning about critical race theory in schools, so it's kind of ridiculous. But I mean, because it's like a literary theory you learn when you're in college.
Exactly, yeah.
But if you engage in critical analysis of a book that has characters who are in a racial minority, and you evaluate, how does this text treat these characters of this racial minority, you are engaging in critical race theory.
Yeah.
That's it. That's the whole thing. It's not like it's, and the conservatives try to frame it as we're teaching white kids to hate themselves and to apologize for everything. No, that's not it. No one's doing that.
I mean, you typically learned in the same context and category as viewing literature from a feminist perspective or a Marxist
Exactly.
perspective. Like, I mean, it's just another way to look at literature. Really, it's not
Exactly. These are all
that.
just different viewpoints. The whole point of critical theory is you step out of yourself, basically, and evaluate literature from different viewpoints.
From a different lens,
Right.
yes.
How would a race theorist look at this text? How would a feminist do it? How would a Marxist do it? A postmodernist, or a modernist, or whatever? How do these different ideologies view the same text? And you think about, like, okay, where's the harm? You're just
Really,
doing.
I mean, yeah. Well, it's not like harmful to look at things from outside of your own normal perspective.
Oh, but it is apparently now, which is funny because the conservatives have always leveled like the book banning at liberals, right? And yet it's the conservatives who are the ones banning books.
Yeah, yeah.
It's it is, and I hate to say this because it's such a cliche, but it is like 1984 with the
Literally 1984.
yeah, well, not literally, but
I know, I'm joking. That's the meme.
the bit about so one of the bits in the book is we're at war with East Asia, right? There's Oceania, East Asia, and is it Europe? Anyway, it's all three. It's all three of them, and or is it America? I can't remember.
I think all of Europe is a part of Oceania.
Or was it? Okay. Well, anyway, it's the three groups: Oceania, East Asia, and the other one. And the bit is they keep changing sides. Like Oceania and East Asia are together, and then Oceania and is against East Asia. And these countries keep switching sides, and part of it is it's a propaganda tactic of this constant war. Scratch his head and looks at Middle East. It's this tactic of keeping the people preoccupied with constant war so that they don't
Exactly.
look at their own issues within the country.
Yeah, it's a war that's mostly being fabricated too, right?
Oh, it's probably totally fake. Yeah, no, it's the whole thing itself is probably completely fake. And they say at one point, like, because they keep switching it, and at one point the guy like switches in the middle of like a rally, and he says, "Oh, we've always been at war with East Asia," and all the people are like, "Oh," because they still have the signs that say like we're at war with Oceania.
Right.
Like, oh, how did, huh? It's that double speak that they say one thing when reality is the complete opposite, right? It's that sort of thing. And so in some ways it is sort of like 1984, even though 1984 is cliche and not that good of a book, but that's my opinion. That's my hot take.
Right.
So suffice to say, all 800 of those books got pulled. Thanks to conservatives. The claim that was levied at the Bible, why it was being challenged, was, and I can't remember the exact quote, but I thought it was very funny. Someone put like instances of rape and homophobia and murder and pillaging and and all this other stuff. I'm like, well, they're not wrong.
Yeah, I mean, like, where's the lie?
Right. I was like, hey, they're not technically wrong, but
At least there was some evening out of the other, I don't know, 700 and something books that they thought, like their ideology is against. At least they're like, well, we can get rid of this one book that we happen to like a lot. Actually, it's our whole life, but we'll take this down too.
I feel like they sort of told themselves, like, okay, but this is gonna hurt us, and they kind of said, "Don't care, hurt libs," or something.
Yeah, exactly. Worth it.
As long as the libs are crying, it's worth it.
Yeah.
Something like that. So.
Anyway.
All
right. Well.
Was that the last
anyway, there's two more after that.
Oh. All right. Hit it.
I sent them in right at the last minute, but Yeah, so Florida Christian school will only refer to students by biological gender. This is another thing on our tirade today on religion versus LGBT people, I guess.
LGBT.
Um, this made me think to myself, along with the other things that you said earlier that we've talked, but like, this really shines a light on the people in our country the most who are against the ideas of progress, like just reversionism, regressivism,
Mm-hmm.
just staying in the past so that keeping things the way they are. Like at the beginning of like the school year, they literally just announced there was like, and like in some like rally or something, they're like, and we will be referring to people as the gender that's on their birth certificate, and it's like, is that even really necessary, dude?
I
I
mean,
don't know.
in biological terms, maybe they're referring to them by their biological sex, but
Yes,
like
that's what they
gender.
meant.
Well, I mean, it says gender on here, but
Well,
like
I read the article and like they were referring to sex. These people aren't that like
they don't know the
too well
difference.
educated on the difference. Yeah, exactly.
Right. I mean, because your gender is like a combination of your testosterone, your estrogen, and a whole bunch of other hormones, which are all
And
circulating at any given
psychological
time.
factors as well.
Right. And yeah, exactly. And so, yeah, Christianity definitely has a tinge of authoritarianism to it, doesn't it?
Sure does.
I mean, you know, and it's not just, and I mean, definitely a large part of it is when any religion gets into power, that typically is bad for the adherents or for
But
really for
okay.
anybody. Um, a lot of times, yeah, when you have ruling by like the church, for instance, that opens itself up to all sorts of abuses. We discussed the people who are in power consider themselves above the law. I mean, who's ruling? Well, it's God, and I speak for God. Therefore, I am above your puny rules.
Exactly.
And so we definitely see this, especially recently with like the overturning of Roe and these other issues. The ruling which came down not too long ago, where teachers can lead students in prayer, which is definitely a violation of the First Amendment.
Exactly.
Um, and so you see this resurgence of Christian nationalism when it really seemed like Christian nationalism was on the back foot for the past like couple decades. Because you had Bush in the early aughts, and then as a result of Bush, you had sort of like the atheist movement, which really took off like online. You
Right.
had like Dawkins and Dennett and Harris and Hitchens, all these guys who were writing these books about religion bad, man.
Yeah.
And
Pretty
then that
much.
that sort of led to that in conjunction with the atheist online presence really led to this big movement in the early aughts, which has really kind of fizzled out by now. But maybe we kind of need to
Yeah.
bring it back.
It led to a lot of the skeptic and the skeptic community and like the anti
Yes,
SJW stuff too.
it did, and yeah, and also in part like GamerGate was also part of that. If we're being perfectly
Yeah.
honest, which was terrible. GamerGate laid a lot of the foundations for later like white supremacist action, that sort of stuff, and
Yeah.
that's all a topic for another time. A very interesting topic, how the atheism to like the skepticism to like alt-right pipeline is certainly a very interesting topic, but one
Yeah.
we're not going to cover right now. But
Yeah.
regardless, maybe it's time that we bring these sorts of guys back.
Yeah. We definitely use some of that energy right now.
Yeah, the guys who sort of led that movement in the early aughts have either been some of them convicted of like sexually harassing their students, whereas others are just old. Right? They're just old
Right.
dudes who really don't care anymore. Like Dennett's ancient, Dawkins is pretty old, and he's not really doing all that much anymore. think Harris still like has a blog, and Hitchens is just dead. So,
Yeah.
the faces of that movement are kind of gone, and there needs to be in my opinion, a new skepticism movement. Although, in fairness, we are part of a generation that is compared to other generations the most non-religious ever.
Right.
And so it's
Like
not
we're
us.
becoming a lot more secular.
Yeah, it's not us. Right? And as we've talked in a previous episode, we just have to wait for these guys to die.
Yeah.
We can't change these laws.
We're just playing the waiting game.
Yeah, while these old coots are still running things. There's just nothing we can do yet. But,
Nope, not yet. It's just got to wait it out.
Yep. So, anyway. And then the last story.
Story is Brittany Griner, Russian penal colonies resemble gulag labor camps. So, in case, I don't know if you heard anything about this, but a WNBA player was playing a game in Russia. She brought a cartridge for a weed vape pen in her luggage, and they found it. And this is a couple of years ago when this happened, I think. But she's been in Russian jail, which I'm sure as a non-Russian speaking mixed race or African American female, that probably is terrible.
Yeah.
But we were going to exchange her for 2 Russian prisoners that we have. I forgot who the first guy was, but the second one was a notorious arms dealer. And Russia did not make the trade. Instead, they chose to sentence her to, I think, 15 years in what is essentially a slave labor camp. I mean, the second I heard she was being sent to a penal colony, I'm like, oh, so the gulag. Because, I mean, those types of camps still do exist, pretty much.
Yeah.
It's just very tragic that Russia is this very, I don't know, very, not even in a religious sense, but just traditionally orthodox type of view on, like, drugs and morality. That they think that, like, I was reading a book by a Russian author. It's called Metro 2033, and there's a series of video games based off of it that are very good. But I was reading the book, which is also very nice. And they're talking about people that do drugs, and it's saying that if you basically they say something along the lines of if you smoke weed, it puts worms into your brain that eat your brain, which is ridiculous, but that's not unheard of with the type of propaganda that gets put out over there. But
Yeah, ridiculous. I didn't believe that. No.
Yeah.
That is pretty wild. Yeah. I mean, the 15 years, and she's an American citizen. And how long have they had her?
Like, I want to say like a year and a half, maybe 2 years.
We haven't been able to extradite her after almost 2 years. Jeez.
Guess not.
That's pretty freaking crazy.
Russia's definitely one of those countries where I'm a little bit scared to travel to, just because if you fuck up there, or if you talk shit about the government, like they will secret police your ass away somewhere.
Yeah, you're just gone.
And you just may never be heard of again. Next thing you know, your head is shaved and you're in a fucking gulag for 2 decades.
Yeah. I actually happen to know a geochemist who was in Russia not too long ago, because he does studies of caves, like takes samples from caves and figures out like how old the cave is and all that sort of stuff.
Interesting.
So yeah, part of his work was in Russia, but yeah, like that's you make a misstep at all and you're just gone. Freaking.
Same thing with China. Like history has been progressing, the more and more reluctant I've been to want to visit China because of how, like I said, they could just like secret police you away and just like you better not have public record of you saying bad shit about China, or they can just straight up steal you.
If you plan on like traveling to like Asia, go to one of like the pro-West countries.
Yeah.
Like South Korea or something like that, because otherwise it might be your last vacation. Even
Japan is iffy. Like Japanese police are known to force confessions out of people that didn't even do their crimes. Like they have like a 99% conviction rate. Even and a lot of Westerners get like Americans get caught up into that. They're being in the wrong place at the wrong time or other reasons, but they end up getting charged for crimes that they may not have even done and getting like severe penalties for it, because in Japanese society, I think it's something along the lines of the accusation of something heinous is enough to sink you like socially. So if the police do it, then like you pretty much have to go along with them and admit you did it, even if you didn't. It's really weird old traditional type of shit they have going on over there. But
That's interesting.
Yeah.
So unless you
Well,
have
that
anything
is
else you want to add, do you want to play us out?
sure. Yeah, that's all we have for today. If anyone listened to this, thank you so much for taking the time. Uh, hope that we were entertaining, at least, or if not informative today. And hopefully you'll tune in again next week. And catch y'all guys later. Bye.